Oh my gosh. Hey, welcome everybody to I'm sorry, not that backpacking podcast. Where am I at now?
I threw you off.
You did throw me off. This guy's not right. Hey, welcome to Inside Out. So we got to welcome Lance from the Outland channel. Welcome, buddy.
What's up? Thank you, man.
Hey, good to have you. Good to have you. Hey, so guess what? We're here to talk about trips gone wrong, and I'm really excited to talk about this one because we literally just had a trip gone wrong or a vacation gone wrong. And Lance, I got to tell you, dude, first off, I have no idea how far and how your Jeep made it up that Walker Creek trail as far as you did. So we just did this, okay? So first off, let me set the backdrop. So we were getting ready. We were doing a rush trip down to the gorge. We just put the rock sliders on. We're wanting to test the Bronco out. So we head down there, and before we even leave the driveway, what happens? We get a flat tire in my driveway. So that put us behind. Then we get down there, and we're doing this trail. And then the whole time we're doing this trail, I was like, how? I mean, we said it like 5 times. How did Lance make it this far? Dude, what was going through your mind on that trail when you're driving up it?
Oh crap. Yeah, man, I tell you, I really honestly believe that I had no other option because I was an idiot and didn't look at any maps or anything. And I was just like, oh, I have to do this, so I got to make it happen. So yeah, that's how I got as far as I did, and I don't know how I didn't fall off that mountain, to be honest with you.
It was super impressive. It really was, because I told Jeremy several times, I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe it, just what we were doing and how difficult it was. So it gave me a newfound respect, not only for that trail, but for how far you went. It was super impressive. And I mean, we were saying time and time again, we couldn't believe it. Like, are we there yet? Are we done? It keeps going on and on.
Kept going.
It really did.
Yeah. So when you turn and you go and you do that first switchback and you're going up Walker Creek, so you go through that long gravel stretch along the lower lines of the trail, and then you do that first switchback and go up. There's this big rock, right? That's right in the middle of that trail. Did you go to the right of that, or did you go up? I mean, do you remember how you got around it?
Honestly, don't remember. I think I did go around it.
It was a blur.
Yeah, total blur, honestly.
So, well, I got to tell you, so we tried to go up and over it, right? And because it was real muddy and slippery, and I was afraid we were going to slide into these walls on the side and cause damage on the doors. And I'm like, I just got her fixed. So we go up and over this rock, and we try to come down, and there just was no good angle. Like at one point, we're 22 degrees. No, what I say? I said 30. It was 30 degrees off camber, and we had our back driver tire in the air. It was not.
It was going back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I was scared. That was the first time I've literally been scared. So Sparky goes to get out and look and try to watch the tires, and we're tilted towards that area, right? So, and it kind of moves and wiggles a little bit as he gets out. You remember me telling you this? I was like, dude, don't stand there. This may roll over on top of you at this point. So it was not a good situation. So we managed to get through that, and I'm thinking, how did Lance do this? So then we going up, we hit another rut, and we get through that rut. And again, we're thinking, how did Lance get through this? So, but we ended up getting through the last one. It's funny because we hit some ATVers, and they looked at me and said the exact same things to you. They're like, how did you get this far? And I can't believe you're doing this trail. And they said that to me in the Bronco. So dude, mad props. Which leads me to the last thing that happened, right? So this trip, we ended up staying on Hanson's Point. We were meeting a bunch of YouTubers, a bunch of people got sick, weren't there, right? So come back, and I have a dead battery. So I see Carlson in the chat. Thank you, my brother, for rescuing us. So that was a mess. So if he hadn't have been there, we'd have been completely stuck over by the Gray's Arch parking with nowhere to go. It was literally a disastrous trip, but it was fun. So, but Sparky, I got to ask you, so tell me, what was your worst family experience, family vacation, your own vacation, probably more likely your vacation with me, that was such a disaster?
Well, I think everyone has something that has gone wrong or not planned. But I wouldn't say the worst, but obviously it's how we handle these situations and things that come up. So, you know what? And you and I have been on several trips, just like the tire that went flat or the battery that went dead. But I try not to dwell on that. I think the biggest thing is trying to make the best case scenario out of the worst case situation that gets presented to us. So I try not to let that bring me down really when it does happen, because it happens to everyone. I mean, it's an everyday thing in life, really. I mean, even at work or going to school or whatever you're doing, obviously something always happens that doesn't go according to plan. So I had, I think, one family one that I know I talked to you about a few times in the past was going to Tennessee. And it was, I love it up there. I love the mountains, being able to get out there with my family. And this is just one that comes to mind. And it was really interesting because I learned, bless you, a good experience out of the whole thing was wildlife. So on all the trips you and I have taken, I have never seen a black bear on trail. I've never seen any bears, really, except for, I think, when we were in Canada, and all I had to do was clap my hands and it took off running. I mean, they were scared of us more than anything else. However, when we were in Tennessee, they're domesticated. They're not afraid of you. And I had to find this out the hard way. And so what had happened was, and this is probably 3-4 years that we've been going there, and we try to go in different spots, different parts of the mountain, because I want to see different angles and experience different things. And I had some really close encounters that were very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that, one experience was I was cooking burgers outside for the family, just cooking dinner. And
you're at the cabin, right? I assume not at a park, but at a cabin. Okay.
Yep. Right at my cabin, right outside, probably, at 10 feet, 12 feet from the door. There's a little grill there. I got charcoal going and got the burgers on the grill. And sure enough, what? I see 3 babies and the mama come up, and they're probably 6 feet away from me. And all I have is a spatula and a lighter. And I'm yelling. I'm yelling, I'm making all this noise. My wife is screaming bloody murder. Yeah, that's another one. This is another experience. But yeah, they come out and you get so close to them. It is terrifying because they're not afraid of you. Mm-hmm. And so that was one experience. And like I told you before, you know what? I always bring up my gun just for safety reasons. Sure. And that particular time, I left it on the refrigerator because I was cooking outside with my kids. And I wouldn't even think about it. And I was scared to death because it was so close to me, the mom and the babies, because they were not afraid of me.
Well, and babies make it a whole other situation. When baby bears are involved, then it's you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, a single bear, I mean, that you might be able to scare it away. But if a baby starts to scream or acts like it's hurt, then mama's not going to be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So luckily, my wife took the kids inside as she's screaming hysterically, and I just stood there with the lighter yelling. And luckily, they turned around and just walked away. Yeah, I'm like, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. But look, that one went well. And then the next year, that was the photos that were popping up. We were staying at another cabin, and 2 babies and this mama right here come down. And I learned another 2 lessons. One was that they climb trees. I had no clue. You actually had to look up So I'm always looking down and around. I found out really quick, you have to look up too. So it's not just down, it's all around, up, down, left, right, wherever, because they can be hiding wherever.
Yeah.
And then the final one was they can open car doors. And that was a very interesting experience. So I'll have Chris play you this video. But before I get into that, I didn't record this video. It was actually the neighbor next door who saw what was going on, and she's narrating, she's talking about it. It's a little fuzzy. It's not a really great picture, but you can kind of see something moving around in the outskirts.
It's Bigfoot-esque as far as photography.
Yes. Actually, that's probably a great representation of that. But she came down and was knocking on the door, and she's like, "Hey, there's bears in your car." And I'm like, "Oh, this is a joke. Really? No, this doesn't happen."
Like, for real.
Sure enough, yeah. We had bear prints all over the inside of the vehicle, and we were very fortunate they didn't destroy anything because we didn't leave any food or
typically they do. They'll rip
and
the seats apart and everything.
Yeah, and we have leather seats too, and they just tear it all apart, and that's what I was expecting, but we were very lucky. So,
wow.
All right. So, Chris, can you bring up that video?
No, not because I don't want to, but because it's a corrupt file.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
That's all right.
That's okay. That's all right.
I'll go back to my.
Well, it was pretty fuzzy, but she was basically narrating, right? So what was going on? So, okay. So first off, I didn't even know bears opening up cars was a thing. So literally you probably have to lock your doors, not even because of people, but because of bears now, right? Which doesn't surprise me because the way bears can figure out how to open up bear canisters and, I mean, they're incredibly smart creatures, incredibly smart. So that's insane, man. Yeah. You were extremely lucky you didn't get your inside of your interior ripped apart.
and actually black bears are more scary than grizzly. People always talk about grizzlies tearing you apart. Black bears are much more aggressive, and like you said, they're domesticated. I mean, they're not afraid of people especially down there in Tennessee. Gosh, they'll just walk down the middle of town like, "Hey, I own this place."
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you think about it, and to your point, Sparky, I mean, I don't know how many trips we've been on, but many. We've had many 100 miles together hiking on trail, and literally, I think I've seen the only black bear on trail between us, and that was in Shenandoah. But us together, we haven't seen many. So, Lance, how about you, bud? So, what have you got? Any good fails?
So it must be this part of the country because my story is in the same state, Tennessee. So this was back in 2005, and my wife and I and my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, we went down to Gatlinburg. We got a really nice chalet in Gatlinburg. We decided we're going to hang out for the weekend and grill out, and just, it was summer. It was awesome. So, so I think it was like the first night we were there. My brother-in-law are like, we're gonna grill out. Let's grill out. This will be fun. So it's one of those. It's a charcoal grill, which I haven't used in a long time. I've been using gas grills forever. So we get this charcoal grill. We get it out. They provided it and everything. It's a brand new, shiny, charcoal grill, like a Weber, like a really nice one. And so we tell the women, we need charcoal briquettes, and they're like, okay. So they went to the store. They come back, and they gave us our charcoal briquettes. We throw them in the grill. We put a light fluid on. We decide, okay, let's light it up. Well, we didn't happen to notice that it was pre-soaked briquettes, so they didn't need lighter fluid. So we light these things up, and like the whole thing just goes up like fire, 10 feet in the air. It melted the grill. It melted the handles off the grill. All the paint melted off. We thought we were going to burn down like this $500,000 chalet. We were up on on a deck. Yeah. We're like, son of a. Oh, it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying.
I bet. That's crazy. So, yeah, that's where you walk up to them and ask for a refund because the grill was defective. So,
they never charged us for that, or they never said a word about that grill, and I don't know why, because we literally melted it. They're probably like, what?
Yeah, I know
happened?"
we had a grill here somewhere. Has anybody seen it? That's hilarious.
And that was actually the second time I ever did that too. Not just once in my life, but twice.
That's funny. So what's this comment? Took a double take at Sparky Ceiling. I thought it was Colorado Trail logo. Haha. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's so Sparky, dude, where are you at?
Blink twice if you need us to help escape.
Oh my
I'm just at home relaxing. Another beautiful day.
Oh, too funny. Awesome. Well, that's crazy. Well, I got to bring in producer Chris real quick. So Chris, if you could step in here, because I know I heard from Carlson that you've got that you've got a pretty good story about a very bad trip. So
Well, first of all, never believe anything Carlson says. Let's set that precedent right now. Everything he says is lies. So,
yeah.
Beyond that, he and I were on the Tecumseh Trail here in Indiana, and it was I think it was almost summer. I think it was probably late spring, early summer, and it was 95 degrees, and we were having just a great day of sweating to death and having no water, and it was fun. We were going from shelter to shelter, and all of a sudden, end times thunderstorm rolls through, and it was an 18-mile day, and it was like mass hysteria, dogs and cats living together. It was awful. So we were in the section of the Tecumseh Trail that it's actually you're passing through an easement of private land, and we did not know how much farther the next shelter was. We were trying to make it to the next shelter, we couldn't. So we set up our hammocks, and all of a sudden Carlson on his at the time he had a junky Android phone, and he got a tornado warning in that area that we were in that area. So we hunkered down in our hammocks. By the way, shout out to Hammock Gear Dyneema hammocks. Man, that saved our butt. But while we were in there, it was going to rain for like 12 hours. And we were there, and it was, like I said, lightning hitting near us. There were trees falling over from the moisture we heard like 2 or 3 trees fall. And I mean, if you can picture, 2 grown men with hammocks right near each other, and almost like Leonardo's Da Vinci's on, like that on the Sistine Chapel, reaching out to hold hands because we're so scared. It was kind of one of those. But it was probably the most terrified I've ever been in the woods because of the weather. You're talking about bears. Yeah, I've seen some bears, but if you have trees falling near you and end times lightning and just a rush of water, I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
I peed a little. I'm not gonna lie.
It's scary because there's nowhere to go. I mean,
Right.
you're stuck. That happened to me in the gorge, and I was by myself, and I about peed myself because I was in a hammock and lightning, trees falling. I had to hunker down. There was nothing I couldn't hike out of there in that.
I think that's the worst part.
Terrifying.
The helplessness, right?
Yeah.
Feeling so helpless that you can't get yourself out of a situation. And then the next morning, we were like, okay, it's over. We're going to try to continue on down the trail. And the creeks were rushing so much that we couldn't pass them. And we had already passed probably 12 to 15 creeks to get to where we were. And we're like, what are we going to do? Yeah. And then we were saved by our buddy Chris Lee from Hooks and Hammocks. We found a way out, and he met us and took us to our vehicle. So yeah, that's the worst hiking experience.
I mean, when trees are falling, I mean that's got to be the most helpless feeling. I mean, it's because you don't know where the next one's going to go, or like if you're falling a tree. I mean, you have an idea where you're wanting to cut it down and lay it, but it doesn't always go that way. So when you're talking about these massive circling winds, you have no idea which way these trees are going to fall. I mean, that.
Well, and
we may
with
not
the
have a
hammock,
chance.
you look for widowmakers, right? You look for
Right.
dead trees. Imagine all the trees around you being
The tree's a
potential
widowmaker. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
That
Yeah, there
part was getting me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, like lightning is a massive fear of mine. Like that's always been that way. It always. I know, Sparky. So I woke him up in the middle of the night one time, just in this lightning storm. We were actually at Pig Farm Shelter on the Triple Crown in Virginia.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were walking in the cloud all day. I mean, it was just miserable conditions. And I thought we would come down a little bit further in elevation at Pig Farm Shelter. And we actually stayed at we stayed in our hammocks at that time. And once again, it's like you hear in the distance, you know, and then it's like that gets your attention. Then you wake up, and then next thing you know, you're in a cloud, but you're surrounded by lightning. It's like, that to me, that's like terrifying. You add that with falling trees.
And then your butthole goes like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, except Sparky. Sparky was mad because I woke him up.
Goes like this.
So, like, he legit was ready to kill me because I woke him up. So it was like we. So I was like, man, I almost went to the shelter and left him because I knew he'd be mad. So I'm like, gosh dang it, I got a conscience. If he gets zapped by lightning, I can't live with that. So I'm like, dude, we got to go.
I won't know the difference. I wouldn't know the difference. It'd be quick and fast. I'm fine. I'm a heavy sleeper, so when I go to sleep, just leave me be. Wait till it's over. I'm okay.
Yeah. He also sounds
I'm
like
one
he's
of those.
a walker. He also sounds like a walker on The Walking Dead as well too when he snores. But I ended up waking him up. And do you remember this? I don't know if you're still out of it or not, but I was like, dude, we got to go. I said that there's like really bad lightning. And right as soon as you said, what are you talking about? A lightning bolt couldn't have been far. Like it zapped. It was like instant thunder. And he was like, oh, so we went and slept in the shelter, at least at that point. But you didn't even have that option, did you? Was there a shelter close by that you could even get to or even try to make? Or
what we found out was after we looked at the map, after everything was said and done, we were only about half a mile from the next shelter.
Oh.
But the storm came on so strong that we didn't want to risk it. So it was just, kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's like what happened to me in the gorge for that time. Because I was, it's like I found a place. I'm going to camp here. It's like in a valley, and I hear the thunder, and it's like, crap, I got to get my tarp up. I got it. And it's just, you're scrambling. You're freaking out because it's just getting louder and louder. And and the winds, you hear the trees start, and you're like, dang it.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is terrifying.
Despite your best planning, sometimes those things happen though.
Yeah, you can't help
part
it.
of backpacking, really.
Outside
Well,
comfort
that's just.
zone. Oh, go ahead.
That's every time Jeremy and I go on a trip. I plan on it to rain. I plan on it
Me and Carl,
because I know it will. It will 100% happen. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
But forecast could say clear blue skies, 70 degrees all week. It will rain at some point in time.
Yeah, it rained 13 hours on me in the desert of Arizona. So yeah, it's for real. In Rivas Ranch, Rivas Falls area. So in the superstitions. Outside comfort zone. I like what you said there. You're absolutely right. It said morale would have hit an all-time low if you walked through the rain and fog all day. It was 100% was. Sparky, I mean, I think we were like, by the time we got set up, we're just looking around and it's like these blowing clouds are going through us because it's like windy too. And it's just eerie. It's cold. It's miserably wet. And I remember we're not even confident we're going to be able to start a fire. So they had a fire pit there and they had a bunch of wood, but it was like soaked in wet leaves. And I remember looking up and finding like some dried pine cones that was on a broken stick. And at that point, I'm like, oh, we're getting a fire started. So we ended up doing that. And as soon as we got that fire started, like instantly our morale changed, at least up till the lightning. But no,
I never really thought about that, Jeremy. Like as much as I've hiked in the mountains in the clouds, I never really thought about being in a thunderstorm, like being in the clouds with a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. You might as well just be in the lightning.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not comfortable. It really is. And it's like, okay, I'm hearing lightning and instant thunder, so I know it's close. but I can't. All I'm seeing is flashes all around you because that fog just distorts, or the clouds distorts that light from going in every which direction. It's like I don't even know at this point. So yeah, that was time to use a McQuick.
Yeah, plug for McQuick.
Yeah, there you go. Good call. So, all right, cool. Now, family vacations. All right, we're gonna move on to this. So, family vacations, those were kind of a big deal growing up, right? So, do you guys have a family vacation growing up that you can remember that you were looking forward to that maybe didn't turn out so well, or maybe a family vacation as a kid that you look forward to that ended up as a disaster, or anything come to mind for you guys?
Oh, I have one that I can remember. It was I was older. I was probably in high school, and we had a family vacation to go up. It was up in Michigan at one of their ski resorts. Beautiful place. I can't remember what it was called, but we were there. It was supposed to be for the entire week. We were there for the first day. We checked in. Beautiful resort hotel, had all the bells and whistles. We went skiing. It was great with the lifts. And at night, they had hot tubs. Like, oh, this would be great. We could go outside when it's cold out. We can sit in the hot tub, keep warm, have a really good time. And I was going from one hot tub to the other because I think there was 3 of them, just to see which one was warmer because I wanted to stay warm. Mm-hmm. And I found the one that was the warmest. And my mom got up to go to the hot tub for all of us because we were all moving into the same one. And she slipped, fell, and crushed her ankle. It has like 5 pins in it. They had to do reconstructive surgery. So my father had to rush her to the hospital. I was with my sister. We just kind of hung out, held down the fort. And then by the time all the surgery and reconstructive surgery was done, they came back and we went home the next day.
Oh my goodness.
So,
yeah. ER trips will completely ruin a trip.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. That's crazy. How about you, Lance? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, one sticks out in my mind. Like we went to Florida one year. I was pretty little. I don't know, like 9 or 10 or something. And we went. My parents. I remember we wanted to go. They wanted to go to Clearwater, Florida, and we're like, oh yeah, this will be really cool. We'll go down to these piers and stuff. And somebody told us that we should go to this place called John's Pass, and apologies to anybody if they live there or whatever, but we ended up going to this place and it was like the sketchiest place we had ever, like there were like loose dogs running around, like people just sitting around like pirates. And I probably, as a kid, everything was embellished in my head, but I remember we're all just like, we got to get the heck out of there. This is the sketchiest place ever. Like, and it just totally sticks in my mind. Like, it's just like,
where was this? LA, San Francisco,
Florida.
Oh, Florida. My bad.
Yeah,
my bad.
Florida.
So what? Okay, so speaking of, let's bring this up. What do you think like the world's worst city to visit would be? And we're not being we're not trying to offend anybody that may be from there. It just may not be for us, right? So I mean, what would you say would be the least, the city that you would want to visit the least?
Well,
go ahead, Lance. I'll let you go on this one.
I'd say a lot of people would say Dayton, but no. Really, probably. Well, yeah. I don't want to offend anybody, but the worst city I've ever been to was Oakland, California. That was the scariest town. Oakland. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I went there for work, and my boss ended up taking our rental car. And left me to fend for myself. So I had to walk from the hotel to find a restaurant. And I just, I'm walking down through the middle of Oakland. This kid from the Eastern U.S. I'd never been out west before, early 20s, whatever. And I'm walking down the street, and there's a car sitting here. And all of a sudden, all 4 doors of this car open up, and smoke just rolls out of this car. And these guys get out, and they're like smoking crack, just getting out of this car. And I'm like, holy crap. What's going on? And then so I keep walking, and then this kid stops me and he's like, "Hey, mister, you got any money?" And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, I don't." And then I just kept walking. And then like there's a security guard there, and I'm like, he's like, I was like, "Am I safe to be walking around here?" And he's like, "Oh, you'll be fine. What did that kid give you?" And I'm like he thought like I bought drugs from this kid or something. I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" So I finally made it to the restaurant, ate dinner, but the whole time I was eating dinner, I was like dreading because I'm gonna have to walk back to this hotel, right? I'm like, I gotta go back to that hotel. Well, you know how that part of the country never gets any rain.
Yeah.
Guess what
Until
happened?
today, until this
It
week.
rained.
Yeah.
It rained, so I was like, I ended up like calling a cab or something. Like, just found a way to get back in the rain, and then I was like so relieved. But it was just, yeah, it scared the piss out of me. I'll tell you.
Yes. What about you, Sparky?
Carlson actually brought it up. Basically my backyard. It's probably about only an hour away. Good old Gary, Indiana.
100% agree. Like that is no joke.
No. If I have a flat tire, I'm sorry, but I will drive it on the rim and keep going. I don't care.
Yeah,
It's I'm not even gonna stop.
Ooh, Memphis. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah.
That is a good one. Like it seems like, and it seems like Gary is like on a lot of the lists of the worst. so if you look up like Gary, it seems it's in Memphis, probably not too far either. And it's like, that's a shame because I always thought it'd be cool to go to Memphis.
Yeah. How many towns in Ohio are on that list, Jeremy?
I don't.
Youngstown.
That's a good question. Hey, producer Chris, would you be able to bring up a list?
What you want?
Of worst cities to travel to?
Yeah, one second.
Let's see if we can maybe get a list brought up here and check it out. That's quite interesting. I bet you like Memphis has to be on there. I mean, it has to be.
Dayton has to be on there.
Worst cities. Who's this by? Is this by
yeah.
This is by MapQuest.
Oh, MapQuest. Okay.
St. Louis?
I love
St. Louis. Interesting.
Detroit makes sense.
Yeah.
Reno. That one's shocking.
So now I thought Reno was okay. So this is how stupid I am about, out west. I thought Reno was probably better than Vegas because am I wrong in thinking that? I guess. I mean,
it's not far from Vegas.
It's close to Vegas. Yeah.
Huh.
I have a friend who lives there actually.
Stockton. That doesn't surprise me. That's from the 90s.
There's Memphis.
Memphis. Yep.
Darn.
New Haven, Connecticut.
Really?
Where Yale is.
Yeah.
There's your Oakland.
Oh, it's on the list.
Oh, it's on the list. Yeah.
Cleveland. There's Ohio.
Cleveland.
Ohio.
I think that's it.
So Cleveland surprised me. That's probably only in the summer because I think in the winter it's too cold off of that Lake Erie for there any.
There are really nice parts of Cleveland. There are really sketchy parts of Cleveland. It's kind of like any other town, really. There's good and bad parts to it.
Looks like crime is the worst thing there.
New Haven, Connecticut. That surprises me. That's a weird one.
6.6 unemployment. Unfortunately, much of the city is impoverished and crime ridden, so they're basing it off poverty and crime, I think.
Well, have you seen the prices of Yale? No wonder they're poverty.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious, crazy. Thanks, Chris. Yep. So yeah, I think I'm actually surprised Gary's not on there. I'm sure if there's a top 10, they 100% would be. So in South Bend, you're talking about South Bend's not. It was going through a really rough patch. It might be getting a little bit on the up, but it was having a hard time keeping police and everything else for a while. But
yeah,
sure it's probably on the list too.
Well, in my hometown, it's like the top 5 cities for meth or something. Like fentanyl abuse and meth abuse is Dayton, Ohio's on. Yeah.
Well, they're making that just north of us, and I can't say so, but a couple.
Can you find out the roads and addresses for me and just send them in the comments, please? I'd really appreciate that.
Let's do it through hike through Gary. It would be an FKT 100%.
Reno is pretty great.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Baltimore, that's a good one.
Yeah. there was a lot of violent crimes and shootings in Baltimore for a while. I don't know if it's gotten better, but I remember like early 2000s seemed like they had a couple of really bad spells.
Well, DC in general, that whole area is
Oh,
pretty nasty.
well, all the homelessness that's going on in DC and San Francisco, right? Well, of course, San Francisco, they're getting flooded. So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'll just say this. I have a hard time going to a state where I have to pack my poop out in a bag, but yet I could drop it in the middle of the street. So
yeah,
that drives me insane. Okay. So, okay, family vacations. I got to bring up this one. So, like I've been fishing all my life. And when I say I've actually been in a boat fishing before I could walk, 100% true. So, us as dads, right? We tend to fight through all these crazy things and things don't go well and you try to put on the face. I never really understood how my parents did that until I start going through that, right? Till I'm trying to buff out these vacations that maybe not ended so well. So I want to share a picture with you. And before producer Chris sends that on here, back in the day, all right, we're talking, I was probably 2 years old, so early 80s, 80. My family was big into going to Minnesota. Loved going up to Bemidji, fishing in these tiny little boats. I had 2 sisters, 1 brother. I'm super little, right? Everybody's cramming into this like 12-foot boat, right? Who do you think had to deal with the tangled fishing lines, taking the fish off the hooks, putting the bait back on the hooks? I mean, at one time, there's this horror story about my sister hooking a water lizard and slinging her reel in a lasso form, and everybody trying to get below in this tiny boat. But take a look at this picture. If Chris can bring up that picture of us in this boat, and it really, really makes you appreciate what your family did for you to enjoy that trip. So, I mean, to me, that's like refugee stuff coming across the ocean. I mean,
the big old life jacket.
Yeah. I mean, but funny enough, this picture actually became the poster picture of the resort that they went to. So it was really cool. And I think that it ended up winning a photo contest or something like that. And I somehow got my first snowsuit as a baby because of that picture. So, but to me, that's really cool stuff, right? But
you're the baby in that photo?
Yeah, I was the little guy in that one. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So yeah, literally I was fishing before I could walk. So that's in Minnesota. Funny. Yeah, crazy, right? So I'm going to have not all vacations are just worried about tangled lines, and some of them end in disaster. And I'm going to have Chris bring up this video on YouTube. We're going to check out the first 3 stories on this video, and we're going to pause after each one. And I want to get your guys' intake on what you think could have happened.
Which one is it?
The
worst disasters?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So this is a news story, and it talks about little different vacation issues, and some may be worse than others. I want to see what you guys think about that, and if you've ever had anything close to that, or what you would do to prevent that.
1 second.
Alrighty.
I really have never been in so much pain in my life.
This woman went to bed at a popular resort and woke up covered in bed bug bites. Cindy Avila of Miami was staying at the Atlantis on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. She was shocked when her husband lifted the mattress.
This is like something that really is like, holy. And it's only getting worse and worse and worse. Dude. I really don't know what to do at this point.
Avila filed a lawsuit against the resort. A representative for Atlantis said an offer was made to pay for Avila's medical bills, which she refused.
Oh, look at them.
Oh. They're just scurrying, man.
That's the first thing you do when you go to a hotel is you check for bed bugs. That's the first thing I do.
100%.
Yeah,
so what do you think, Chris? Is that a nightmare?
I carry a black light with me everywhere I go.
Does that work?
You don't want to do that.
Does that work for him?
Huh?
Does that work for bed bugs?
It helps detect the eggs.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
And the fluids and the blood and the
fluids and the. If you've ever watched a channel called Dan Bell, he does something called, he does a series called Another Dirty Room, where he and his friends go into hotel rooms, cheap hotel rooms in the nastiest parts of town, and they basically tear up everything, and they do like the blood tests, they do the they spray the wall to see what's on it, and they check it all out and they inspect it, and it's foul, but you can't stop. It's like a car wreck. You can't stop watching it.
So funny you say that. So Sparky and myself were going to was it Shenandoah? Yeah, Shenandoah Valley. And he's like, hey, yeah, I'll find a hotel. So we're getting there late. We're going to stay in a hotel and then start hiking the next day. So I
find the top class the best of the best for my brother. I always try to go above and beyond to kind of really set the standard and the bar high for him. So
yeah. So we go into this hotel. Well, actually, first off, he's navigating to it, right? So we go and we pull off, and he goes, oh, there it is. I'm like, dude, a Holiday Inn Express? Awesome. Very cool. Thank you. Looks nice. He goes, no, not that one.
It's the one behind it.
It was beside it. And it said hotel on a wood board. It was no light up lights. Literally was like a plywood board.
Dash tell?
It said
motel.
It said Bates Motel. Bates Motel. All welcome. Please come on in.
Yeah. So he set that up. That was the first time I used DEET walking into a hotel room. So, but honestly, think about it. Like, if you do that and you're a backpacker and you're surrounded yourself in permethrin, and don't you think that would help? Like, I mean, it would have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
you would have to put so much on though that you probably wouldn't wake up.
Yeah, maybe so. That's crazy. All right.
You want to go to the next story on that?
Yeah, let's check out the next one.
Okay, 1 second. Share and
Tourists in Hawaii got a little too close to an active volcano and were in striking distance of flying lava bombs.
oh no.
It was so scary. It was just like a firework was shooting at my face.
Aaron and Brian Welsh were on a boat with about 50 people near the Kilauea volcano when it erupted, sending hot lava into the air, some of which hit nearby tourists.
You can see the rock, it looks like glowing charcoal coming right at you. There's just no time to react.
4 boats were later told to keep a safer distance from the volcano.
That's the one that just erupted again.
Yeah. I wonder if that was the same time. Go ahead.
So how you handle this is just like everything else. Like, hey, kids, this is the 4th of July fire drill. We practiced this 100 times. Start running.
Roll.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, okay, so whale watching, yes, that would be cool. Seeing dolphins, yes, that would be cool. I have no desire to go close to an active volcano. Like, I don't know what part of that would be a good idea.
This is a quote, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy right here.
Deep thoughts. Just let them go, because man, they're gone.
It's true, man.
That was a Deep Thoughts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Deep Thoughts. That's
crazy.
an old SNL skit.
Yeah, that's not a good situation.
That makes me think of that movie, Dante's Peak. Remember that movie with
oh,
Pierce
dude,
Brosnan?
that was a classic. Yeah.
Where they're like the very first scene where they're driving and like he's with his wife, and then it comes through the roof of the truck and like goes in her head, and she's like, and I'm like, I was mortified. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, is that where he was driving through on like flat tires and rims and everything
Just
else?
the rims, yeah. I think that was the same. And like the lady gets in the acid lake, the grandma gets in the acid lake, and it like burns her legs off, and she's just like, "Go without me," and she's like melting. It's a traumatizing movie.
That is crazy.
Volcanoes terrify me. Thank God I don't live anywhere near one that I know of.
I've seen Lord of the Rings. I just watched that with my youngest, so throwing that ring in there, that's not a good situation.
Yep.
So, all right.
It's only bad when they're exploding and rupturing. When it's calm and just lava flow, light up a cigarette, get some s'mores, relax.
Relax in your crawl space.
Yeah, that's right. Enjoy these last moments. So, all right. Let's check out the last one here.
Okay. 1 second. By the way, you might get copyright because of these, but it's just
That's okay. I'm not monetizing anything.
All right, one more. Here we go. Oh no!
Passengers on this flight were treated to 8 hours of this child pitched screaming tantrum.
Nope.
Everybody was just kind of looking at each other like, oh, this is going to be a long flight.
Shane Townley shot the video and says this went on the whole time from Frankfurt, Germany to Newark, New Jersey. What? Child's mother told flight attendants that she had behavioral problems and asked them to turn on the Wi-Fi so she could pull up a video for him to watch on her tablet.
That kid needs a dart in the neck.
Satisfy the fussy
Seriously.
She kind of looked like she was used to it. He was climbing all over the chairs. He was just screaming, would not let up. He was running up and down the aisles. There was nothing she could do.
Oh.
This one.
Nope.
That's when you beat the
All
parent.
right. So first off, Sparky, before you comment, just remember my children watch this.
Yeah. No. Put a dart in that kid's neck.
What do you guys think?
Well, I have a lot to say on that one, but just to be nice about everything, if that's not a good form of birth control, I don't know what is. Because, wow, I would lose it if that was me.
Hey kids, see if this smells like chloroform.
See, that's why the Amish give their kids Benadryl. I've heard. I don't know. So, but all right. So, okay. Have you guys had anything like that happen besides your local Walmart, like in a plane?
I've had it
it
happen,
always
but
happens
not
in
for
Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it happen not for 8 hours straight, but for like 2 hours.
Yeah, same. Like, I think the worst I had was a cat that was meowing. Like, are the terrorists getting you, or what is going on over there?
Fantastic.
Oh my
They've
god.
been chloroformed.
Okay, if there's somebody in the chat that could call 911 to have some,
We've got to stream her down.
At this point, we now know he's not in a basement. He's at some Antifa-held warehouse.
He's in a safe house.
Because he wears a I like beer shirt.
Oh.
But yeah, I think it was the Wyoming trip when I was flying out to Denver with David, and there was literally a lady sat next to me, and her cat was meowing the whole time, like loud. And she was apologetic. I'm like, it's fine. You just put your earbuds in and you watch a movie. Like, that's about the best you can do. So, but I don't know.
That's easier than a screaming kid, I think.
I think
yeah, that's pretty less painful, I think, of them all. All right, so I think the thing that I want to bring up next is, like, we all are. Oh, go ahead. Oh, dogs are barking. Go ahead. I'm going to put on mute.
We're
for a
all
second.
parents, and I think that last video that we just saw, a lot of that goes down to the parent as well, and the parenting style. You know what? Kids will act out. They scream. You know what? It always happens. But what was the parent doing? And if you were in that position, you know what? They should have done something. But running up and down the aisle screaming for 8 hours.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't.
You need to beat the parent first.
Absolutely. I think there definitely is the first step for sure, Lance. You hit that right on the head, because
you plan for those things, and you bring the special milk, right? That's what you do. Like, here,
Well, what you should do.
You must be thirsty, all that screaming. Here's your special milk. That's what you do.
Right. And I think sometimes that's a very good point. Like, especially in today's age, it's like parents will look at their screaming kids and be like, yeah, they make me mad, or it's their fault, or whatever. You're the parent. Sometimes you got to put the phone and kind of get away from Facebook and maybe check out and see what your kid's doing. So it's just a necessity of today. So it's not just, yeah, they're screaming, just leave them alone. If you ignore them, they'll stop. Well,
No,
I have about 8 hours in Walmart that I've heard it not stop. So, yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So last segment here, we're going to talk about there's vacations that go wrong, and then there's vacations that go even worse. It's life changing, life altering, or life ending. And I kind of want to talk about this a little bit, just because I feel like in the things that we do, whether it's off-roading, whether it's hiking, running into the bear, that type of scenario, it could be, we enjoy the outdoors, but something can go wrong. That lightning storm can come. That tornado that hit you guys could have been a totally different situation, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go ahead and play this Pictured Rocks video and see what your thoughts are on that.
Not the Brazil one, the other one.
No, not yet. That'll be next. We'll do the Pictured Rocks one first.
1 second here. That we've called Boaters.
Found out Saturday.
To say it was dramatic is the least of the things. Yeah.
And the odds of us seeing that has got to be huge, because 10 seconds one way or the other, we would have missed it.
Jan Martin and Brad Gustafson, highly involved in their Central Wisconsin Off-Road Cycling Coalition, bringing their passion of biking to the UP trails this past weekend. Saturday afternoon, with two more friends, was a pontoon ride from Munising Bay to the colorful cliffs of Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, up close.
One of our passengers, our friend Don, had noticed a little bit of debris falling from the rock face. And prior to what we captured on video, a small 4 or 5 wide chunk of cliff face had fallen off.
A minute and a half later, it was 200 feet of the cliff face breaking off. Gustafson captaining the controls.
So the reason I couldn't back up is when we saw the rocks and stuff cracking, everybody says, get closer, get closer. So they said, turn the motor off. And when I turned the motor off, I had it in gear. When you have it in gear, it won't start again until you put it in neutral.
Oh, dear Lord.
But their 100-yard distance offshore was far enough from the approaching swell, never getting wet. The park's chief of interpretation, Susan Reese, says large collapses are rare, going back to 2019, when danger struck close to kayakers along the same location between Miners and Mosquito Beach.
It is hard, though, for people to resist going right up to the rocks. That's where you want to go and you want to see it. But there is always a risk, though it's very small. There is always a risk.
She says trails will be rerouted farther from cliffs as necessary, but not to let it stop you from enjoying the landscape.
Now I get to hear from Carlson, dude, you got to get up there.
So first off, Pictured Rocks is gorgeous. It is a beautiful, beautiful area. And actually, that was one of the hikes, Sparky, you were very adamant about doing. That was one of the places that was on your list, and you planned that trip. So to me, like, that's just one of those things. You could have just been a kayaker along the bottom of that cliff, because we seen them there all the time when you go up there. So they're always right along those cliffs, going in and out the little caves. I mean, there was no warning of that. It could have just ended. You could be having the best, kayaking experience of your life, and then in the next 3 seconds, it's over. So,
then a cliff hits you on your head.
Yeah.
Or the one year when they were hiking and that section that we were at, completely fell down and went out from underneath. I think there was a woman on it. I can't remember, but that just reinforces why I am terrified of heights and why I try to stay away from it as much as possible. Things like this happen.
The trails.
Go ahead, Lance.
Sorry. The trails at Pictured Rocks, they're like right on the cliff edge. Then I haven't been up there yet.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
Okay.
Yep.
Huh.
And actually, the story that you're talking about, Sparky, you're right. The lady went out, and I remember us walking that trail in that similar area, because you sent me the story, because it was kind of like, hey, this is why you didn't do this. There's a section, it's like you almost want to walk out a little further just to get a clear picture away from the tree branches of this arch. And I think, was it a lady visiting from California or something like that?
Yeah,
because I thought it was weird that she went from there to Pictured Rocks, but it kind of shows the novelty of it. But she went out to get that picture, and the sandstone, just enough of it collapsed underneath of her for her to slip off and fall 200 feet. So, I mean, you got to make good decisions out there. Now, not every decision that you make is your fault. Like if that is collapsing and you're close to with a kayak, you don't even see that coming. I mean, there's always boats hauling kayaks there.
I think if you're on the trail though, and it starts collapsing, what you really need to go for is to see how elegant of a dive you can do. And like maybe a couple of backflips and, a little bit of splash.
I mean, I'd be impressed if you could go all Matrix and run across the rocks and maybe get out a little further. So that would be impressive.
Collapsing.
But you're going to go out. You might as well make it a big exit,
Yeah, like this dude's doing the handstands. Like, man, that was my last Instagram post, was a handstand on the edge of a cliff.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
But okay, so this next one, it's here's another cliff collapse. I think this was in the last couple of years this happened.
Yeah.
So
this is the Brazil one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 second here. 10 people died. Oh. We need to go back.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. If you want to hit that back and kind of show that beginning again. So that was kind of we'll skip the story. I think this is a little. Okay.
Oh.
That broke my heart when I seen that. So I remember this story. Basically, like, I think it was at least 9 people were missing. And what frustrated me was exactly what you said, Chris, is they need to go back. Yeah. I mean, at some point, I get it. It's scary that fell. I mean, odds are the rest of it's not going to fall if it's, but there's people left behind, and to me, that was probably one of the most concerning things about that video, besides the loss of life in that. Again, you're in probably one of the most beautiful areas in the world. I mean, just absolute gorgeous cliffs. You don't know when they're going to fall off. I mean, you can go to Red River Gorge. I'm sure you see it all the time, Lance, with the rocks that are out of the cliff walls, and you can see the indentions of where they're at or where they were. You just don't know. So what are your guys' thoughts? I mean,
go back for the people. I mean, once the danger passes that you can assess, because probably the people that are missing are probably under rocks.
Yeah. I mean, what about that capsized boat that I'm sure happened after getting smacked with all those waves? I mean, that was intense, right? So, all right.
That's why I try to stay in my crawl space and never leave the house as much as possible.
Well, and that's, Jeremy, that's kind of like, it's part of nature. The earth is constantly changing, shifting.
Absolutely.
Rocks, like you said, the gorge, rocks are falling down there all the time. We could go down there and hike and have a cliff collapse underneath. There's no guarantees.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and life is a risk anyway, but
yes.
But you're probably more in danger of getting in a car crash on your way to the gorge, honestly, than that happening. So don't let that hold you back.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Or a flat tire, or a dead battery. All that happens.
Rescued by Carlson. That might have been the worst.
Meeting Carlson.
Oh man. All right. So, and I'm kind of tying this together here. So, because one of the things that gets me is on vacations, there's tons of things to worry about. But to me, the scariest thing is to not live because you're worried. You know what I mean? So like one of the craziest things I got to do in my life was this Black Bear Pass, right? So took the Bronco down there, and probably the worst thing I ever did was watch all these Black Bear Pass fail videos, just because in my mind, I want to see all the bad things that can happen. So that way I don't do it. So, I'm not only watching the guys that are successfully doing it, I'm watching the bad stuff as well too. And I think it kind of got to me to where it almost made me not want to do it. So, and I would have regretted it so much if I hadn't have actually done that trail. But I want to show one of the videos that actually made me not do it. And I can tell you a little bit about the story. It's the Black Bear Pass video, about 3:15 is the start. But I was watching this, and if you don't know what Black Bear Pass is, it's in Colorado. It's got some pretty steep switchbacks to where if you take the wrong, like right there, they're looking at rolling down probably 900 feet if they would roll off of that road right there. And the road is the trail is as wide as your tires. so there's not much room. So when you look at the edge of that trail to the left, it starts to go downhill a little bit. So it can be pretty intense and pretty scary, but the views are phenomenal. And that's what I wanted to get. So, you educate. Right. So now these guys are pros, they're educated, they know what they're doing, but something can happen. And I can tell you the story behind this. You might've seen this. It's a pretty known video, but go ahead and roll the clip there. I mean, the one thing it doesn't capture.
What?
Yeah.
Were there people in there?
Okay. So backstory.
Or did they jump out?
The backstory behind that. If you want to go ahead and set that up to run through one more time, I'll give you a little bit of the backstory. So there's some really sharp switchbacks. And when I say sharp, I mean, it's like 4 and 5 point turns. And again, you're looking at like a 900-foot drop. If you aren't aware of what you're doing or someone's not spotting you, it can be a lot more difficult, right? So this Jeep, particularly right here, this red Jeep, that's rolling down the mountain, basically he parked to try to spot somebody else to make the first switchback. And when he shut the Jeep off, he put it in gear because it was a stick from, if I remember this right, so that way it wouldn't go anywhere. Well, a couple things you really want to do, and that I took from this as well too. One, set your emergency brake also if you get out. And 2, turn your tires towards the wall, towards the mountain. So that way, if it does roll, have it roll into the wall, not off the cliff. His girlfriend and his dog were in the Jeep as he got out. The gear jumped into neutral and began to roll down the hill. Girlfriend and dog were tossed. I mean, you might say, luckily you didn't have your seatbelt on because you needed to be tossed early to have a chance of surviving that. And the dog was barely injured, and I know the girlfriend got hurt, but she was alive. So go ahead and roll. Yeah. So that thing's not stopping. It's not stopping until it gets to the bottom. So.
Does it play it again?
And I bet that person driving in that vehicle was probably crapping themselves as well. Like,
absolutely. This almost impacted this guy. I mean, you're how far away? I mean, maybe 10 feet, 15 feet. This Jeep rolls in front, and it's already mangled. I mean, you can tell it's already it's going to be in pieces.
There's already poop in pants.
Yeah.
See, that would completely like ruin me for the rest of that drive. Like, I would be shaking the entire time trying to get off of that mountain. Like,
hello, Jake from State Farm. I have a slight issue.
What are you wearing, Jake?
What are you wearing first? Second
of all, hideous.
Yeah. So, but I got to tell you though, I think the thing for us is, where's our boundary? You know what I mean? Where's our boundary in that? We want to take these risks to have these adventures in life. Cause I mean, Black Bear was the most amazing adventure I could imagine. I had such a great time. And to be honest with you, I wasn't even worried once I got past the steps. I felt like I knew what I was going to do. I'm pretty forward in my thinking on things. And I felt like I did the research. And actually it was kind of, David gave me a good compliment. He's like, at no point was I worried. And when he was driving along a shelf road, I was like terrified. So, just kind of that control factor. But, and then I'm going to have you play this last video. This actually features one of my favorite people. If you like off-roading channels, check out Jill, Break Outdoors. I think he's on here. That gives him a plug, but this actually happened a couple of weeks after I was on Imogene Pass. And I'll kind of give you my thoughts on it, and I'll be interested to hear what you guys think too.
Hold on. Sorry.
You're good.
I'm just inefficient. Okay, share. There we go. Go back here. Ready?
Yeah, let's roll.
Scary stretch of road popular with tourists and known as one of the most dangerous in America. Now it has claimed new victims. 2 nurses and their tour guide driver killed after their Jeep plunged over a cliff along Camp Bird Road in the Colorado mountains. How dangerous and treacherous are the roads in this area?
There's a million unforeseen things.
This haunting photo of a jubilant Diana Robles was snapped shortly before the deadly crash. The 28-year-old and her aunt, Ophelia Figueroa Perez, both dedicated nurses from Yuma, Arizona, were on a vacation, taking in the breathtaking scenery. Ami Robles is Diana's grieving sister. Did you know they would be on such a treacherous road?
I didn't have any idea.
Off-roading expert Richard Comito has driven the dangerous stretch.
These are one-lane, twisting, curving roads carved into the side of a mountain with 100 to 1,000 foot drops on either side. No guardrails. It is probably one of the scariest things you'll ever do.
Nope.
Nope. Not gonna happen.
So here's the thing with that road, okay? And before I get into the whole situation with the 2 ladies and the driver, that road's narrow. It's not as narrow as Black Bear, but Black Bear is one way down. You got to work yourself around other people that may be coming from the other direction. I know that we met like a full-size Ram, Dodge Ram. So, and his tires were, you remember, Sparky, how yours was on Spas Creek where your tire was kind of hanging over? The Rams was doing the same thing, but he was about 300 feet up.
Shepherd Farm remembers.
Right. So, here's the thing though. Okay. Like you can't control what other people do. Okay. So I can't control what the guy's doing coming ahead of me. That was the second fatal rollover within 7 days, like 2 weeks after I was on it. Right. I can tell you the first one was side by side. Those guys were driving like crazy maniacs. And I remember seeing it for myself thinking, these guys are going to drive right off the mountain. You got to be responsible. I mean, just because you think you're invincible, you may not. Second thing, these guided tours, they've got to get some type of control on them because they're getting paid by the hour. Okay. Yeah. And if you're incentivized by the hour, you're going to be flying up and down those roads in full-size trucks. Again, I seen full-size, F-450s with benches in the back that were just doing like 30 mile an hour up some of these things, maybe not that fast, but to me, it's like, okay, I'm paying money and my life is now in that guy's hands that's driving. So what could possibly go wrong with that? So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is that something that you would do? Would you trust somebody else to drive you up a mountain like that?
Rather do it myself.
They can eat my butt on that one because I'm not. No way.
I wouldn't even come close to that to begin with. Jeremy, you and I were driving back from Colorado, and I had to purposely sit on the driver's side. I don't know if you remember, in the back because I refused to be on the side next to the cliff. No, and I had a guardrail. No, I would not even go close to that.
Yeah, where we were coming from, was it Fresco, Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay, somewhere around there. Yeah, you literally made me switch while my brother was driving because you were literally freaking out. So you
remember when we were doing the Daniel Boone Byway and that Suzuki Sidekick was coming up and I mean, they were hopping stuff, and the average BMI in that was 40 of the participants. The average BMI.
They didn't air down. Their tires were just low.
Right. But they were bouncing everywhere, and I thought for sure they were going to roll.
Flip. I thought they were going to roll too. I was like, "Oh, this is bad."
Yeah,
but they've probably done that 100,000 times. They probably do it every weekend. Nothing to them,
Right. And then Lance shows him up with his Jeep toaster.
Right. Full send, man.
I guess to wrap this all up, I mean, your life's in your own hands. You choose what to do with it, but everybody's got a different line that they would risk to enjoy it, right? So like everybody has their limits of things that they would call fun. Sparky I don't know that you would ride black bear with me. I probably would say that you're not. So
no.
I think that's up to each individual person to make, but don't ever be afraid to live life, because you never know when things change. And if I'm going to go, I'd rather go having a good time and accomplishing my goals than, I don't know, old and having regrets, I guess, more than anything. But anyways, yeah. Awesome. Well, no regrets. All right. I thought about getting a tiger.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I get to too funny, guys. We've been going on for a while now. So hey, Lance, first off, thanks for coming on board on the second one.
Thanks,
Second official Inside Out. Like we said, we're committing to doing about 4 or 5 of these things. Who knows? We may stop after that, or if we have other things to say, we probably will keep going. But why don't you tell everybody how to find you in case they don't know?
Yeah, so I'm the Outland Outdoors channel on YouTube. Just look up OUTLAN and you'll find me. Please check my channel out and subscribe. Appreciate it.
Awesome. And then producer Chris, that hiking guy Chris. I mean, the bodiless face.
That hiking guy. That's whatever. I haven't made a video this year yet, so I'm setting the bar low.
It's all right. Hey, also shout out to Campfires and Cat Holes. If you guys get a chance to watch that podcast, Carlson and Chris do a great job. Really fun guys to watch on there. There you go. So the best name, and you don't have it handy, I'm sure, but you actually got an official soap. Who's that from? Was it Tanya?
I can get it if you want to vamp for just a second.
Yeah, go ahead if you want. I'd love to give her a shout out on that real quick. Sorry, did he run? I think I just seen Chris run.
Yeah, I didn't. Wow, that was impressive.
Now let me catch my breath. So Tanya, we were going to announce this on ours, but it's fine.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Water Maple Soap Company on Etsy. She made us our own Campfires and Cat Holes soap.
Oh,
and you'll notice the little piece of poo at the top.
That is hilarious.
So it looks like
that is so cool.
Yeah. And I've had COVID, so I can't smell it, but I'm going to take it to Carlson. He'll tell me what it smells like. But it says cedar, smoke, amber, and pine. But yeah, look at that. Isn't that cool?
Oh,
that is
awesome.
Really cool. Hey, and also, could you give a shout out? Because you guys are going to be featured on another podcast tomorrow, is it?
Yeah, we're going to be on, then they're in the chat. We're going to be on the Keel Quest live stream as Backcountry Bros. We're bros, but we ain't bros. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be on their live stream tomorrow and talking about our adventures and philosophy and poetry, physics, whatever.
Poetry.
Nice. Awesome. And then Sparky, do you even care if anybody finds you?
Please don't. Leave me in here by myself. It's okay. Everything will be okay.
That's funny. He does have 2 videos on his YouTube channel, all things indoors. It's pretty funny. We need more short videos from you, dude. So they're hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
But anyways, so hey, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. I don't have the thumbnail ready yet, but be looking for that. And then
we'll be on our Campfires and Cat Holes next Wednesday.
So that's kind of the rotation, right? So you guys will be on next Wednesday, and then we'll be on the weekend or the week after that. So, other than that, guys, I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.